Privatization. 69 languages. See also, list of privatizations by country. Privatization, rendered privatization in British English, can mean several different things, most commonly referring to moving something from the public sector into the private sector. It is also sometimes used as a synonym for deregulation when a heavily regulated private company or industry becomes less regulated. Government functions and services may also be privatized, which may also be known as franchising or outsourcing. In this case, private entities are tasked with the implementation of government programs or performance of government services that had previously been the purview of state-run agencies. Some examples include revenue collection, law enforcement, water supply, and prison management. 1. Another definition is that privatization is the sale of a state-owned enterprise or municipally owned corporation to private investors. In this case, shares may be traded in the public market for the first time, or for the first time since an enterprise's previous nationalization. This type of privatization can include the demutualization of a mutual organization, cooperative, or public-private partnership in order to form a joint stock company. 2. Separately, privatization can refer to the purchase of all outstanding shares of a publicly traded company by private equity investors, which is more often called going private. Before and after this process, the company is privately owned, but after the buyout its shares are withdrawn from being traded at a public stock exchange. 3. 4. Etymology, edit. The term privatizing first appeared in English, with quotation marks, in the New York Times, in April 1923, in a translation of a German speech referring to the potential for German state railroads to be bought by American companies. 5. In German, the word Privatisierung has been used since at least the 19th century. 6. Ultimately, the word came to German through French from the Latin privatus. 7. The term reprivatization, again translated directly from German, Reprivatisierung, was used frequently in the mid-1930s, as The Economist reported on Nazi Germany's sale of nationalized banks back to public shareholders following the 1931 economic crisis. 8. The word became common in the late 1970s and early 1980s as part of UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's economic policies. She was drawing on the work of the pro-privatization Member of Parliament David Howell, who was himself drawing on the Austrian-American management expert Peter Drucker's 1969 book, The Age of Discontinuity. 8. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Definition, edit. The word privatization may mean different things depending on the context in which it is used. It can mean moving something from the public sphere into the private sphere, but it may also be used to describe something that was always private, but heavily regulated, which becomes less regulated through a process of deregulation. The term may also be used descriptively for something that has always been private, but could be public in other jurisdictions. 9. There are also private entities that may perform public functions. These entities could also be described as privatized. Privatization may mean the government sells state-owned businesses to private interests, but it may also be discussed in the context of the privatization of services or Government functions, where private entities are tasked with the implementation of government programs or the performance of government services. Gillian E. Metzger has written that private entities, in the U.S., provide a vast array of social services for the government, administer core aspects of government programs, and perform tasks that appear quintessentially governmental, such as promulgating standards or regulating third-party activities. Metzger mentions an expansion of privatization that includes health and welfare programs, public education, and prisons. 10. History, edit. See also, List of privatizations. Pre-20th century, edit. The history of privatization dates from ancient Greece, when governments contracted out almost everything to the private sector. 11. In the Roman Republic, private individuals and companies performed the majority of services, including tax collection, tax farming, army supplies, military contractors, religious sacrifices and construction. However, the Roman Empire also created state-owned enterprises. For example, much of the grain was eventually produced on estates owned by the emperor. David Parker and David S. Seil suggest that the cost of bureaucracy was one of the reasons for the fall of the Roman Empire. 11. Perhaps one of the first ideological movements towards privatization came during China's Golden Age of the Han Dynasty. Taoism came into prominence for the first time at a state level, and it advocated the laissez-faire principle of Wu Wei, literally meaning do nothing. 12. The rulers were counseled by the Taoist clergy that a strong ruler was virtually invisible. During the Renaissance, most of Europe was still by and large following the feudal economic model. By contrast, the Ming dynasty in China began once more to practice privatization, especially with regards to their manufacturing industries. This was a reversal of the earlier Song dynasty policies, which had themselves overturned earlier policies in favor of more rigorous state control. 13. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. In Britain, the privatisation of common lands is referred to as enclosure, in Scotland as the Lowland clearances and the Highland clearances. Significant privatisations of this nature occurred from 1760 to 1820, preceding the Industrial Revolution in that country. 20th century onwards, edit. The first mass privatization of state property occurred in Nazi Germany between 1933 and 1937. It is a fact that the government of the National Socialist Party sold off public ownership in several state-owned firms in the middle of the 1930s. The firms belonged to a wide range of sectors: steel, mining, banking, local public utilities, shipyard, ship lines, railways, etc. In addition to this, delivery of some public services produced by public administrations prior to the 1930s, especially social services and services related to work, was transferred to the private sector, mainly to several organizations within the Nazi Party. 14. Great Britain privatized its steel industry in the 1950s, and the West German government embarked on large-scale privatization, including sale of the majority stake in Volkswagen to small investors in public share offerings in 1961. 11. However, it was in the 1980s under Margaret Thatcher in the United Kingdom and Ronald Reagan in the United States that privatization gained worldwide momentum. Notable privatization attempts in the UK included privatization of Britoil, 1982, the radioactive chemicals company Amersham International, 1982, British Telecom, 1984, Sea-Link Ferries, 1984, British Petroleum, gradually privatized between 1979 and 1987, British Aerospace, 1985 to 1987, British Gas, 1986, Rolls-Royce, 1987, Rover Group, formerly British Leyland, 1988, British Steel Corporation, 1988, and the regional water authorities, mostly in 1989. After 1979, council house tenants in the UK were given the right to buy their homes, at a heavily discounted rate. 1 million purchased their residences by 1986. Such efforts culminated in 1993 when British Rail was privatised under Thatcher's successor, John Major. British Rail had been formed by prior nationalisation of private rail companies. The privatisation was controversial, and its impact is still debated today, as doubling of passenger numbers and investment was balanced by an increase in rail subsidy. 15. This has been reverted by the same party in Britain in the early 2020s with the state-owned Great British Railways. 16. The United Kingdom's largest public share offerings were privatizations of British Telecom and British Gas during the 1980s under the Conservative government of Margaret Thatcher, when many state-run firms were sold off to the private sector. The privatization received very mixed views from the public and the Parliament. Even former Conservative Prime Minister Harold Macmillan was critical of the policy, likening it to selling the family silver. 17. There were around 3 million shareholders in Britain when Thatcher took office in 1979, but the subsequent sale of state-run firms saw the number of shareholders double by 1985. By the time of her resignation in 1990, there were more than 10 million shareholders in Britain. 18. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Privatization in Latin America was extensive in the 1980s and 1990s, as a result of a Western liberal economic policy. Companies providing public services such as water management, transportation, and telecommunication were rapidly sold off to the private sector. In the 1990s, privatization revenue from 18 Latin American countries totaled 6% of gross domestic product. 19. Private investment in infrastructure from 1990 and 2001 reached $360.5 billion, $150 billion more than in the next emerging economy. 19. While economists generally give favorable evaluations of the impact of privatization in Latin America, 20. Opinion polls and public protests across the countries suggest that a large segment of the public is dissatisfied with or have negative views of privatization in the region. 21. In the 1990s, the governments in Eastern and Central Europe engaged in extensive privatization of state-owned enterprises in Eastern and Central Europe and Russia, with assistance from the World Bank, the U.S. Agency for International Development, the German Treuhand, and other governmental and non-governmental organizations. Nippon Telegraph and Telephone's privatization in 1987 involved the largest share offering in financial history at the time. 22. 15 of the world's 20 largest public share offerings have been privatizations of telecoms. 22. In 1988, the perestroika policy of Mikhail Gorbachev started allowing privatization of the centrally planned economy. Large privatization of the Soviet economy occurred over the next few years as the country dissolved. Other Eastern Bloc countries followed suit after the revolutions of 1989. Introduced non-communist governments. Freedom House's Privatization Index, 1998 and 2002. Freedom House's Privatization Index rated transition countries from 1, maximum progress, to 7, no progress. The table below shows the privatization index for various Eastern European countries in 1998 and 2002, 23. Privatization Index 1998-2002. Bulgaria 4.03.0. Czech Republic 2.01.75. Hungary 1.51.5. Poland 2.25.2.25. Romania 4.53.75. Slovakia 3.252.0. Slovenia 2.52.5. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Russia 3.03.5. The largest public shares offering in France involved France Telecom. Egypt undertook widespread privatization under Hosni Mubarak. Following his overthrow in the 2011 revolution, most of the public began to call for renationalization, citing allegations of the privatized firms practicing crony capitalism under the old regime. 24. Reasons for privatization, edit. There are various reasons why a government may decide to privatize, commonly due to economic reasons. The economic factors that influence a government's decision to privatize assume this will lower government debt. Studies have shown that governments are more likely to privatize with higher public debt, typically because governments do not have the needed time to wait for a return. 25. Another economic factor that influences this area is the resulting efficiency of SOEs once privatized. Commonly, governments aren't able to provide the required investments required to ensure profitability for various reasons. These factors may lead to a government deciding to privatize. 26. Forms of privatization, edit. This section needs additional citations for verification. Please help improve this article by adding citations to reliable sources in this section. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. June 2016. Learn how and when to remove this message. There are several main methods, citation needed, of privatization. 1. Share issue privatization, shares sale on the stock market. 2. Asset sale privatization, asset divestiture to a strategic investor, usually by auction or through the Troy-Hand model. 3. Voucher privatization, distribution of vouchers, which represent part ownership of a corporation, to all citizens, usually for free or at a very low price. 4. Privatization from below, start of new private businesses in formerly socialist countries. 5. Management buyout, purchase of public shares by management of the company, sometimes by borrowing from external lenders. 6. Employee buyout, distribution of shares for free or at a very low price to workers or management of the organization. The choice of sale method is influenced by the capital market and the political and firm-specific factors. Privatization through the stock market is more likely to be the method used when there is an established capital market capable of absorbing the shares. A market with high liquidity can explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Facilitate the privatization. If the capital markets are insufficiently developed, however, it would be difficult to find enough buyers. The shares may have to be underpriced, and the sales may not raise as much capital as would be justified by the fair value of the company being privatized. Many governments, therefore, elect for listings in more sophisticated markets, for example, Euronext, and the London, New York and Hong Kong stock exchanges. Governments in developing countries and transition countries more often resort to direct asset sales to a few investors, partly because those countries do not yet have a stock market with high capital. Voucher privatization occurred mainly in the transition economies in Central and Eastern Europe, such as Russia, Poland, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia. Additionally, privatization from below had made important contribution to economic growth in transition economies. Citation needed. In one study assimilating some of the literature on privatization that occurred in Russian and Czech Republic transition economies, the authors identified three methods of privatization: privatization by sale, mass privatization, and mixed privatization. Their calculations showed that mass privatization was the most effective method. 27. However, in economies characterized by shortages and maintained by the state bureaucracy, wealth was accumulated and concentrated by grey/black market operators. Privatizing industries by sale to these individuals did not mean a transition to effective private sector owners of former state assets. Rather than mainly participating in a market economy, these individuals could prefer elevating their personal status or prefer accumulating political power. Instead, outside foreign investment led to the efficient conduct of former state assets in the private sector and market economy. 27. Through privatization by direct asset sale or the stock market, bidders compete to offer higher prices, generating more revenue for the state. Voucher privatization, on the other hand, could represent a genuine transfer of assets to the general population, creating a sense of participation and inclusion. A market could be created if the government permits transfer of vouchers among voucher holders. Secured borrowing, edit. Some privatization transactions can be interpreted as a form of a secured loan, 28, 29, and are criticized as a particularly noxious form of governmental debt. 28. In this interpretation, the upfront payment from the privatization sale corresponds to the principal amount of the loan, while the proceeds from the underlying asset correspond to secured interest payments. The transaction can be considered substantively the same as a secured loan, though it is structured as a sale. 28. This interpretation is particularly argued to apply to recent municipal transactions in the United States, particularly for fixed term, such as the 2008 sale of the proceeds from Chicago parking meters for. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 75 years. It is argued that this is motivated by politicians' desires to borrow money surreptitiously. 28. Due to legal restrictions on and political resistance to alternative sources of revenue, viz., raising taxes or issuing debt. Results of privatization, edit. Privatization had different outcomes around the world. Results of privatization may vary depending on the privatization model employed. 30. According to Erwin Stizer, it is somewhere between difficult and impossible to separate the effects of privatization from the effects of such things as trends in the economy. 31. According to research performed by the World Bank, 32, and William L. Megginson, 33, in the early 2000s, privatization in competitive industries with well-informed consumers consistently improved efficiency. According to APEC, the more competitive the industry, the greater the improvement in output, profitability, and efficiency. 34. Such efficiency gains mean a one-off increase in GDP, but through improved incentives to innovate and reduce costs also tend to raise the rate of economic growth. Citation needed. More recent research and literature review performed by Professor Saul Estrin and Adeline Pelletier concluded that the literature now reflects a more cautious and nuanced evaluation of privatization, and that private ownership alone is no longer argued to automatically generate economic gains in developing economies. 35. According to a 2008 study published in Annals of Public and Cooperative Economics, liberalization and privatization has produced mixed results. 36. Although typically there are many costs associated with these efficiency gains, 37, many economists argue, that these can be dealt with by appropriate government support through redistribution and perhaps retraining. Citation needed, yet, some empirical literature suggests that privatization could also have very modest effects on efficiency and quite regressive distributive impact. In the first attempt at a social welfare analysis of the British privatisation programme under the Conservative governments of Margaret Thatcher and John Major during the 1980s and 1990s, Massimo Florio points to the absence of any productivity shock resulting strictly from ownership change. Instead, the impact on the previously nationalised companies of the UK productivity leap under the Conservatives varied in different industries. In some cases, it occurred prior to privatisation, and in other cases, it occurred upon privatisation or several years afterward. 38. A 2012 study published by the European Commission argues that privatization in Europe had mixed effects on service quality and has achieved only minor productivity gains, driven mainly by lower labor input combined with other cost-cutting strategies that led to a deterioration of employment and working conditions. 39. Meanwhile, a different study by the Commission found that the UK rail network, which was privatised from 1994 to 1997, was most improved out of all the 27 EU nations. From 1997 to 2012. The report examined a range of 14 different factors and the UK came top in 4. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Of the factors, second and third in another 2 and fourth in 3, coming top overall. 40. Nonetheless, the impact of the privatisation of British Rail has been the subject of much debate. With the stated benefits including improved customer service, and more investment, and stated drawbacks including higher fares, lower punctuality and increased rail subsidies. 41, 42, 43. Privatizations in Russia and Latin America were accompanied by large-scale corruption during the sale of the state-owned companies. Those with political connections unfairly gained large wealth, which has discredited privatization in these regions. While media have widely reported the grand corruption that accompanied those sales, according to research released by the World Bank, there has been increased operating efficiency. Daily petty corruption is, or would be, larger without privatization, and that corruption is more prevalent in non-privatized sectors. Furthermore, according to the World Bank, extralegal and unofficial activities are more prevalent in countries that privatized less. 44. Full citation needed. Other research suggests that privatization in Russia resulted in a dramatic rise in the level of economic inequality and a collapse in GDP and industrial output. 45. Russian President Boris Yeltsin's IMF-backed rapid privatization schemes saw half the Russian population fall into destitution in just several years as unemployment climbed to double digits by the early to mid-1990s. 46. A 2009 study published in the Lancet Medical Journal has found that as many as 1 million working men died as a result of economic shocks associated with mass privatization in the former Soviet Union and in Eastern Europe during the 1990s. 47, 48, although a further study suggested that there were errors in their method and correlations reported in the original article are simply not robust. 49. A subsequent body of scholarship, while still controversial, demonstrates that rapid privatization schemes associated with neoliberal economic reforms did result in poorer health outcomes in former Eastern Bloc countries during the transition to markets economies, with the World Health Organization contributing to the debate by stating IMF economic reform programs are associated with significantly worsened tuberculosis incidence, prevalence, and mortality rates in post-communist Eastern European and former Soviet countries. 50. Historian Wolters Schiedel, a specialist in ancient history, posits that economic inequality and wealth concentration in the top percentile had been made possible by the transfer of state assets to private owners. 51. In Latin America, on the one hand, according to John Nellis's research for Center for Global Development, economic indicators, including firm profitability, productivity, and growth, project positive microeconomic results. 19. On the other hand, however, privatization has been largely met with a negative criticism and citizen coalitions. This neoliberal criticism highlights the ongoing conflict between varying visions of economic development. Kyle Polanyi emphasizes the societal concerns of self-regulating markets through a concept known as a double movement. In essence, whenever societies move towards increasingly unrestrained, free market rule, a natural and inevitable societal correction emerges to undermine the contradictions of capitalism. Citation needed. This was the case in the 2000 Cochabamba protests. Citation needed. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Privatization in Latin America has invariably experienced increasing pushback from the public. Mary Shirley from the Ronald Coase Institute suggests that implementing a less efficient but more politically mindful approach could be more sustainable. 52. In India, a survey by the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, NCPCR, utilization of free medical services by children belonging to the economically weaker section, EWS, in private hospitals in New Delhi, 2011-12, a rapid appraisal indicates underutilization of the free beds available for EWS category in private hospitals in Delhi, though they were allotted land at subsidized rates. 53. In Australia, a People's Inquiry into Privatization, 2016/17, found that the impact of privatization on communities was negative. The report from the inquiry Taking Back Control, 54, full citation needed, made a range of recommendations to provide accountability and transparency in the process. The report highlighted privatization in healthcare, aged care, childcare, social services, government departments, electricity, prisons and vocational education, featuring the voices of workers, community members and academics. Some reports show that the results of privatization are experienced differently between men and women for numerous reasons. When public services are privatized, women are expected to take on the health and social care of dependents. 55. Women have less access to privatized goods. 56. Public sector employs a larger proportion of women than does the private sector. 57. And the women in the public sector are more likely to be unionized than those in the private sector. 58. In Chile, women are disproportionately affected by the privatization of the pension system because factors such as women's longer life expectancy, earlier retirement age, and lower rates of labor force participation, lower salaries affect their ability to accumulate funds for retirement, which leads to lower pensions. 56. Low-income women face an even greater burden. Angela Tainaja, of Oxfam, India, says the privatization of public services implies limited or no access to essential services for women living in poverty, who are often the ones more in need of these services. The increase in privatization since the 1980s has been a factor in rising income and wealth inequality in the United States. 59. Foreign privatization, edit. Due to low levels of native capital accumulation in the former Central and Eastern Europe, the rapid privatization preferred by international institutions, EBRD, IMF, World Bank, and other foreign banks, was a de facto call for international bidding, reflecting the assumption that foreign investment would play a major role. 60. Contrasting cases in Eastern Europe, Romania and East Germany, edit. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. In post-reunification East Germany, by the end of June 1992, the Treuhandanstalt had privatized 8,175 companies, with 5,950 left on hand, 4,340 remaining to be sold and the remainder to be liquidated. 61. June 1992 was also when the last East German on the board of the Treuhand left. 62. By the end of 1994, Treuhand had sold almost everything, having only 65 firms left to privatize as of December 1994. More than 80% of the privatized businesses were bought by foreigners, chiefly West Germans. 75%. 63. Romania's first privatization took place on 3 August 1992. 64. There was very little privatization. During 1992, only 22 state-owned enterprises were privatized. The pace picked up throughout the following year, with more than 260 companies privatized. 65. 4 of the 22 enterprises privatized in 1992 were sold to foreign investors. 66. In 1993, 265 companies were privatized, followed by 604 in 1994. 2 companies were sold to foreign investors during this period, one each in 1993 and 1994. At the start of 1999, 4,330 companies were left to be privatized, with 5,476 having been sold during 1993-1998. 67. At the end of 1998, only 2.4% of privatized companies had foreign participation. 68. Opinion, edit. This section needs additional citations for verification. Please help improve this article by adding citations to reliable sources in this section. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. July 2011. Learn how and when to remove this message. Arguments for and against the controversial subject of privatization are presented here. Support, edit. Proponents of privatization argue that, over time, this can lead to lower prices, improved quality, more choices, less corruption, less red tape, and / or quicker delivery. Many proponents do not argue that everything should be privatized. According to them, market failures and natural monopolies could be problematic. However, anarcho-capitalists prefer that every function of the state be privatized, including defense and dispute resolution. 69. Proponents of privatization make the following arguments. Performance. State-run industries tend to be bureaucratic. A political government may only be motivated to improve a function when its poor performance becomes politically sensitive. Increased efficiency. Private companies and firms have a greater incentive to produce goods and services more efficiently to increase profits. Specialization. A private business has the ability to focus all relevant human and financial resources onto specific functions. A state-owned firm does not have the necessary resources to specialize its goods and services as a result of the general products provided to the greatest number of people in the population. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Improvements. Conversely, the government may put off improvements due to political sensitivity and special interests, even in cases of companies that are run well and better serve their customers' needs. Corruption. A state monopolized function is prone to corruption. Decisions are made primarily for political reasons, personal gain of the decision maker, i.e. graft, rather than economic ones. Corruption, or principal agent issues, in a state-run corporation affects the ongoing asset stream and company performance, whereas any corruption that may occur during the privatization process is a one-time event and does not affect ongoing cash flow or performance of the company. Accountability. Managers of privately owned companies are accountable to their owners / shareholders and to the consumer, and can only exist and thrive where needs are met. Managers of publicly owned companies are required to be more accountable to the broader community and to political stakeholders. This can reduce their ability to directly and specifically serve the needs of their customers, and can bias investment decisions away from otherwise profitable areas. Civil liberty concerns. A company controlled by the state may have access to information or assets which may be used against dissidents or any individuals who disagree with their policies. Goals. A political government tends to run an industry or company for political goals rather than economic ones. Capital. A privately held companies can sometimes more easily raise investment capital in the financial markets when such local markets exist and are suitably liquid. While interest rates for private companies are often higher than for government debt, this can serve as a useful constraint to promote efficient investments by private companies, instead of cross-subsidizing them with the overall credit risk of the country. Investment decisions are then governed by market interest rates. State-owned industries have to compete with demands from other government departments and special interests. In either case, for smaller markets, political risk may add substantially to the cost of capital. Security. Governments have had the tendency to bail out poorly run businesses, often due to the sensitivity of job losses, when economically, it may be better to let the business fold. Lack of market discipline. Poorly managed state companies are insulated from the same discipline as private companies, which could go bankrupt, have their management removed, or be taken over by competitors. Private companies are also able to take greater risks and then seek bankruptcy protection against creditors if those risks turn sour. Natural monopolies. The existence of natural monopolies does not mean that these sectors must be state-owned. Governments can enact or are armed with antitrust legislation and bodies to deal with anti-competitive behavior of all companies, public or private. Concentration of wealth. Ownership of and profits from successful enterprises tend to be dispersed and diversified, particularly in voucher privatization. The availability of more investment vehicles stimulates capital markets and promotes liquidity and job creation. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Political influence. Nationalized industries are prone to interference from politicians for political or populist reasons. Examples include making an industry buy supplies from local producers, when that may be more expensive than buying from abroad, forcing an industry to freeze its prices forward/fares to satisfy the electorate or control inflation, increasing its staffing to reduce unemployment, or moving its operations to marginal constituencies. Profits. Corporations exist to generate profits for their shareholders. Private companies make a profit by enticing consumers to buy their products in preference to their competitors, or by increasing primary demand for their products, or by reducing costs. Private corporations typically profit more if they serve the needs of their clients well. Corporations of different sizes may target different market niches in order to focus on marginal groups and satisfy their demand. A company with good corporate governance will therefore be incentivized to meet the needs of its customers efficiently. Job gains. As the economy becomes more efficient, more profits are obtained and no government subsidies and less taxes are needed. There will be more private money available for investments and consumption, and more profitable and better paid jobs will be created than in the case of a more regulated economy. 70. unreliable source. Opposition, edit. Opponents of privatization in general, or of certain privatizations in particular, believe that public goods and services should remain primarily in the hands of government in order to ensure that everyone in society has access to them, such as law enforcement, basic health care, and basic education. There is a positive externality when the government provides society at large with public goods and services such as defense and disease control. Some national constitutions in effect define their government's core businesses as being the provision of such things as justice, tranquility, defense, and general welfare. These governments' direct provision of security, stability, and safety is intended to be done for the common good, in the public interest, with a long-term, for posterity, perspective. As for natural monopolies, opponents of privatization claim that they aren't subject to fair competition, and better administrated by the state. Although private companies may provide a similar good or service alongside the government. According to whom, opponents of privatization are critical about completely transferring the provision of public goods, services and assets into private hands for the following reasons. Performance: a democratically elected government is accountable to the people through a legislature, Congress or Parliament, and is motivated to safeguarding the assets of the nation. The profit motive may be subordinated to social objectives. Improvements: the government is motivated to performance improvements as well run. Businesses contribute to the state's revenues. Corruption: government ministers and civil servants are bound to uphold the highest ethical standards, and standards of probity are guaranteed through codes of conduct and declarations. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Of interest. However, the selling process could lack transparency, allowing the purchaser and civil servants controlling the sale to gain personally accountability. The public has less control and oversight of private companies, although these remain answerable to various stakeholders, including shareholders, clients, suppliers, regulators, employees and collaborators. Civil liberty concerns: a democratically elected government is accountable to the people through a parliament, and can intervene when civil liberties are threatened. Goals: the government may seek to use state companies as instruments to further social goals for the benefit of the nation as a whole. Capital: governments can raise money in the financial markets most cheaply to re-lend to state-owned enterprises, although this preferential access to capital markets risks undermining financial discipline because of the assurance of a bailout from the government. Cuts in essential services: if a government-owned company providing an essential service, such as the water supply, to all citizens is privatized, its new owner, could lead to the abandoning of the social obligation to those who are less able to pay, or to regions where this service is unprofitable. Natural monopolies: privatization will not result in true competition if a natural monopoly exists. Concentration of wealth: profits from successful enterprises end up in private hands instead of being available for public use. Political influence: governments may more easily exert pressure on state-owned firms to help implement government policy. Profit: private companies do not have any goal other than to maximize profits. Privatization and poverty: it is acknowledged by many studies that there are winners and losers with privatization. The number of losers, which may add up to the size and severity of poverty, can be unexpectedly large if the method and process of privatization and how it is implemented are seriously flawed, for example lack of transparency leading to state-owned assets being appropriated at minuscule amounts by those with political connections, absence of regulatory institutions leading to transfer of monopoly rents from public to private sector, improper design and inadequate control of the privatization process leading to asset stripping. 71. Job loss, due to the additional financial burden placed on privatized companies to succeed. Without any government help, unlike the public companies, jobs could be lost to keep more money in the company. Reduced wages and benefits. A 2014 report by In the Public Interest, a resource center on privatization, 72, argues that outsourcing public services sets off a downward spiral in which reduced worker wages and benefits can hurt the local economy and overall stability of middle and working class communities. 73. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Inferior quality products. Private, for-profit companies cut corners on providing quality goods and services in order to maximize profit. 74. Economic theory, edit. In economic theory, privatization has been studied in the field of contract theory. When contracts are complete, institutions such as private or public property are difficult to explain, since every desired incentive structure can be achieved with sufficiently complex contractual arrangements. Regardless of the institutional structure, all that matters is who are the decision makers and what is their available information. In contrast, when contracts are incomplete, institutions matter. A leading application of the incomplete contract paradigm in the context of privatization is the model by Hart, Schleifer, and Vishny, 1997. 75. In their model, a manager can make investments to increase quality. But they may also increase costs, and investments to decrease costs, but they may also reduce quality. It turns out that it depends on the particular situation whether private ownership or public ownership is desirable. The Hart-Schleifer-Vishny model has been further developed in various directions, for example to allow for mixed public-private ownership and endogenous assignments of the investment tasks. 76. Privatization of private companies, edit. Privatization can also refer to the purchase of all outstanding shares of a publicly traded private company by private equity investors, which is more often called going private. The buyout withdraws the company's shares from being traded at a public stock exchange. 3. 4. Depending on the involvement of internal and external investors, it may occur through a leveraged buyout or a management buyout, tender offer, or hostile takeover. 3. See also, edit. Commodification, corporatization, deregulation, equitization, kibbutz. List of nationalizations by country. List of privatizations by country. Marketization, nationalization, private prison, private sector development. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Privately owned public space. Structural adjustment. Notes, edit. 1. Chowdhury, F.L. Corrupt Bureaucracy and Privatization of Tax Enforcement, 2006, Patak. Samaj, Dhaka. 2 Musselburgh Co-op in crisis as privatization bid fails. Cooperative News. 1 November 2005. Archived. From the original on the 22nd of December 2017. Retrieved the 21st of May 2008. 3 ABC Fernando, Jason. Going private definition. Investopedia. Retrieved the 5th of August 2021. 4 AB Dumont, Marvin. Why do public companies go private? Investopedia. Retrieved the 5th of August 2021. 5 asserts Americans plot with French. The New York Times. The 7th of April 1923. The 7th of April 1923. P4. 6 Camera, John Axel, 2001. Privatization, in German. Tübingen, Morsebek. ISBN 978-3-16. 147515-3. 7 Privatisieren. Duden. 8 AB Bell, Germa, Summer 2006. The Coining of Privatization and Germany's National Socialist Party. Journal of Economic Perspectives. 20, 3187194 do. 10.1257/jep.20.3.187. S2 SID 338154002. 9 Bierman, Jack, 1 January 2001. Privatization and Political Accountability. Fordham Urban Law. Journal. 28, 1507. 10 Metzger, Gillian, 1 January 2003. Privatization as Delegation. Column. L. Revelation 103, 6 1367 1502. Do. 10.2307/3593390. JSTA 3593390. 11 ABC International Handbook on Privatization by David Parker, David S. Searle. 12 Li and Zheng 2001, p. 241, full citation needed. 13 Bouilly, Thomas M., Manslaughter, Markets, and Moral Economy. 14 Bell, Germa, 1 February 2010. Against the Mainstream, Nazi Privatization in 1930s Germany 1, PDF. The Economic History Review. 63, 134-55 do. 10.1468-J.1449.2009.00473.x. HDL 2445/11716. ISSN 1468-0289. S2 SID 1544866694. 15 Burrell, Ian, 15th of August 2013. Forget the nostalgia for British Rail, our trains are better than ever. The Guardian. 16 Great British Railways, the Williams-Shapps Plan for Rail, PDF. assets.publishing.service.gov.uk. Retrieved 5 March 2022. 17 https://web.archive.org/2016-2316270/6/www.number10.gov.uk/history-and-tour/Harold M. Macmillan 2 / dead link 18 Thatcher years in graphics. BBC News. The 18th of November 2005. 19 ABC privatization in Latin America, the rapid rise, recent fall, and continuing puzzle of a contentious economic policy by John Nellis, Rachel Menezes, Sarah Lucas. Center for Global Development Policy. Brief, January 2004, p1. 20 The distributive impact of privatization in Latin America, evidence from 4 countries by David Mackenzie, Dilip Mukherjee, Gonzalo Castaneda and Jamie Saavedra. Brookings Institution Press. 2008, p162. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 21 Why is sector reform so unpopular in Latin America? By Mary Shirley. The Ronald Coase Institute. Working Papers, 2004, p1. 22 AB The Financial Economics of Privatization by William L. Megginson, pp. 205-206. 23 Graham, Norman A. Lindell, Folk, Cocaoglu, Timur, 19 March 2021. Norman A. Graham, Folk. Lindell, Timur Cocaoglu, Roman and Littlefield, 19 March 2021, Making Russia and Turkey Great Again. Putin and Erdogan in Search of Lost Empires and Autocratic Power, p. 45. Roman and Littlefield. ISBN 9781793610232. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 6 October 2022. 24 Amos, Deborah, in Egypt, Revolution Moves into the Factories. Archived 8 March 2018 at the Wayback Machine, NPR, 20 April 2011. Retrieved 20 April 2011. 25 Ramamurthy, Ravi, 1992. Why are developing countries privatizing? Journal of International Business Studies. 23, 229 do, 10.1000/palgrave.gibs.8490266. 26 Radic, Mislav, 2021. Privatization, Implications of a Shift from State to Private Ownership, PDF. Journal of Management. 47, 1596-1629 do, 10.101177/0149206320988356. 27 AB John Bennett, Saul Estrin, and Giovanni Erga, 2007. Methods of Privatization and Economic Growth in Transition Economies, PDF. Economics of Transition. 15, 4661683 do, 10.1111/J.1468. 0351.2007.00300.x. HDL 10419/140745. S2 SID 447407. Retrieved the 18th of June, 2017. 28 carat ABCD Royne, Julie, the 6th of July, 2011. Privatization and the sale of tax revenues. SSRN 1880033. Site journal requires journal equals, help. 29 carat UFC professor argues privatization of public assets just like borrowing money, archived 2012. 10-01 at the Wayback Machine, the 22nd of July, 2011, Chicago Tribune, Amit Sakdev's Chicago Law, Amit Sakdev. 30 carat Alan Jagavi, Anti-Bistrai and Borna Debilik, 2010, Economic Effects of Privatization of Public Services Sector in the Republic of Croatia, emphasizing maritime passenger traffic, economic research. Ekonomska istraživanja, 23:4, 114126, DOI, 10.1080/1331677x.2010.11517437. 31 carat Stiza, I. 2000. A review of privatization and regulation experience in Britain, archived 2018-02. 20 at the Wayback Machine. Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, Beazley Series. Presentation at London Business School, the 7th of November, 2000, Beazley Series of Lectures on Regulation. 32 carat Kaikari, Sunita, Nellis, John, June, 2002. Privatization in Competitive Sectors, the Record to Date. World Bank Policy Research Working Paper No. 2860. John Nellis and Sunita Kaikari. SSRN 636224. 33 carat From State to Market, a Survey of Empirical Studies on Privatization, PDF. William L. Megginson and Jeffrey M. Netter. Journal of Economic Literature. June, 2001. Archived from the original, PDF, on the 2nd of October, 2005. 34 carat Privatizing State-Owned Enterprises, PDF. The 22nd of February, 2010 p9. Archived from the original, PDF. On the 9th of September, 2011. Retrieved the 11th of July, 2011. 35 carat Saul Estrin, Adeline Pelletier, the 22nd of March, 2018. Privatization in Developing Countries, What are the lessons of recent experience? The World Bank Research Observer. 36 carat Giuseppe Bognetti, Gabriel Obermann, the 11th of September, 2008. Liberalization and privatization of public utilities, origins of the debate, current issues and challenges for the future. Annals of Public and Cooperative Economics. 79, 34461485. 10.1011/J.101467-8200.2008.00367.x. S2 SID 1535388881. 37 carat Winners and Losers, Assessing the Distributional Impact of Privatization, CGD Working Paper No. 6, PDF. Nancy Birdsall and John Nellis. Center for Global Development. The 9th of March, 2006. Archived from the original, PDF, on the 23rd of June, 2005. Retrieved the 23rd of June, 2005. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 38 Evenson, Robert E. Megginson, William L. 2006. Reviewed work, The Great Divestiture. Evaluating the welfare impact of the British privatizations, 1979–1997, Massimo Florio. Journal of Economic Literature. 44, 1172-174. JSTOR 30032311. 39 Dominic Sobchak, Elk Frankie Hein Hughes, 10 November 2012. Liberalization and Privatization in the EU. Publications Office of the European Union. ISBN 978-9279216367. 40 European Rail Study Report. Archived from the original on 17 November 2015. Retrieved 1 February 2016. 41 Performance and Punctuality, ppm, Network Rail. Archived from the original on 8 December 2015. Retrieved 20 November 2015. 42 92% of UK trains arrive on time. Global Railway Review. Retrieved 16 January 2019. 43 Have train fares gone up or down since British Rail? Archived 14 March 2018 at the Wayback Machine, BBC News, 22 January 2013. 44 Privatization in competitive sectors, the record to date. Sunita Kaikari and John Nellis. World Bank. Policy Research Working Paper 2860, June 2002. Privatization and Corruption Archived 2011-07. 18 at the Wayback Machine. David Martimort and Stefan Strobe. 45 Holmstrom, Nancy, Richard Smith, February 2000. The Necessity of Gangster Capitalism, Primitive Accumulation in Russia and China. Monthly Review. 51, 9. Monthly Review Foundation, 1. Do. 10.14452/Mr. 051092000002_1. 46 Mattia, Clara E. 2022. The Capital Order, How Economists Invented Austerity and Paved the Way to Fascism. University of Chicago Press. pp. 301302. ISBN 978-0226818399. If, in 1987–1988, 2% of the Russian people lived in poverty, i.e., survived on less than $4 a day, by 1993–1995 the number reached 50%. In just 7 years half the Russian population became destitute. 47 Death surge linked with mass privatization. University of Oxford. 2009. Archived from the original on 2 July 2014. Retrieved 28 June 2015. 48 Privatization raised death rate archived 6 March 2016 at the Wayback Machine. BBC, 15 January 2009. Retrieved 29 June 2014. 49 Earl, John S. Gelbach, Scott, 30 January 2010. Did mass privatization really increase post-communist mortality? The Lancet. 375, 9712 372, author reply 372374 do. 10.1016/S0140-6736, 10, 60159. 6. PMID 20113819. S2 SID 35337211. 50 Godzi, Kristen, Orenstein, Mitchell. 2021. Taking Stock of Shock, Social Consequences of the 1989 Revolutions. New York, Oxford University Press. p84. Do. 10.100097801975492300.001.0001. ISBN 978-0197549247. 51 Schiedel, Walter, 2017. The Great Leveler, Violence and the History of Inequality from the Stone Age to the 21st Century. Princeton University Press. p. 222. ISBN 978-0691165028. 52 Why is sector reform so unpopular in Latin America? By Mary Shirley. The Ronald Coase Institute. Working Paper, 2004, p1. 53 Parapaden, Bindu Shajan, the 17th of August 2013. Private hospitals shun destitute children. The Hindu. Retrieved the 21st of August 2013. 54 archived copy, PDF. Archived from the original, PDF, on the 29th of January 2020. Retrieved the 3rd of December 2018. 55 Privatization and Women's Human Rights, Fact Sheet for CSW 63 Advocacy, PDF. worldsci.org. Retrieved the 5th of March 2022. 56 A.B. Prizier, Ross, November 2005. An International Perspective of Privatization and Women Workers. Journal of International Women's Studies. 7, 5468. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 57 5 Facts on Gender Equity in the Public Sector. blogs.worldbank.org, the 27th of September 2021. Retrieved the 29th of November 2021. 58 Stinson, Jane. Why Privatization is a Women's Issue. Canadian Women's Studies. 23, 1822. Site CX 10.1.1.925.3111. 59 Pikchi, Amy, the 7th of December 2021. The New Gilded Age, 2,750 people have more wealth than half the planet. CBS News. Retrieved the 9th of December 2021. 60 Orenstein, Mitchell Alexander, Bloom, Stephen R. Lindstrom, Nicole, 2008. Mitchell Alexander. Orenstein, Stephen R. Bloom, Nicole Lindstrom, University of Pittsburgh Press, 2008, Transnational. Actors in Central and East European Transitions, pp. 116117. University of Pittsburgh Pre. ISBN 9780822973447. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 61 Jeffries, Ian, 27 May 1993. Ian Jeffries, Routledge, 27 May 1993, Socialist Economies and the Transition to the Market, A Guide, p. 588. Routledge. ISBN 9781134903603. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 62 Schneider, Volker, Eberlein, Burkhardt, 26 May 2015. Volker Schneider, Burkhardt Eberlein, Springer. 26 May 2015. Complex Democracy, Varieties, Crises, and Transformations, p. 106. Springer. ISBN 9783319158501. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 63 Desai, Padma, 1997. Padma Desai, MIT Press, 1997, Going Global, Transition from Plan to Market. In the World Economy, p. 187. MIT Press. ISBN 9780262041614. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 64 East, Roger, Pontin, Jolion, 6 October 2016. Roger East, Jolion Pontin, Bloomsbury Publishing, October 6, 2016, Revolution and Change in Central and Eastern Europe, Revised Edition, p. 185. Bloomsbury. ISBN 9781474287487. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 65 Roper, Stephen D. 2 August 2004. Stephen D. Roper, Routledge, 2 August 2004, Romania, The Unfinished Revolution, p. 95. Routledge. ISBN 9781135287580. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 66 Pop, Liliana, 19 September 2006. Liliana Pop, Manchester University Press, 19 September 2006. Democratizing Capitalism, The Political Economy of Post-Communist Transformations in Romania. 1989-2001, p. 88. Manchester University Press. ISBN 9780719070945. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 67 OECD Publishing, 29 October 2002, OECD Economic Surveys, Romania 2002, p. 64. OECD. 29 October 2002. ISBN 9789264194120. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 68 Martin, Roderick, 28 March 2013. Roderick Martin, OUP Oxford, 28 March 2013, Constructing Capitalisms, Transforming Business Systems in Central and Eastern Europe, p. 94. OUP Oxford. ISBN 978-0-19-965766-7. Archived from the original on 4 December 2022. Retrieved 28 September 2022. 69 Review of Cosenks Instead of Politics. Don Stacey. Archived 1 October 2018 at the Wayback Machine. Libertarian Papers Volume 3, Art. No. 3, 2011. 70 Central Europe's Mass Production Privatization. Archived 18 October 2009 at the Wayback Machine. Heritage Lecture #352. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 71 Dade Deviron, 2006. Revisiting Privatization in the Context of Poverty Alleviation. Journal of International Development. 18. 4469488 10.1002/JID.1244. 72 David Moberg, 6 June 2014. Privatizing government services doesn't only hurt public workers. Archived 25 June 2014 at the Wayback Machine. In These Times. Retrieved 28 June 2014. 73 Race to the Bottom, How Outsourcing Public Services Rewards Corporations and Punishes the Middle Class. Archived 4 June 2014 at the Library of Congress Web Archives. In the Public Interest. 3 June 2014. Retrieved 7 June 2014. 74 Joshua Holland, 17 July 2014. How a bogus, industry-funded study helped spur a privatization. Disaster in Michigan. Archived 23 July 2014 at the Wayback Machine. Moyes and Company. Retrieved 20th July 2014. 75 Hart, Oliver, Schleifer, Andrei, Vishny, Robert W. 1997. The Proper Scope of Government, Theory and an Application to Prisons. The Quarterly Journal of Economics. 112. 1127 1161. Site CX 10.1.1.318.7133. Do 10.1162/0033553005555448. ISSN 0033-5533. S2 SID 16270301. 76 Hop, Eva I. Schmitz, Patrick W. 2010. Public versus Private Ownership, Quantity Contracts and the Allocation of Investment Tasks. Journal of Public Economics. 94, 3425828. Do 10.1016/j.pubco.2009.11.009. References: Edit. Alexander, Jason, 2009. Contracting Through the Lens of Classical Pragmatism, an exploration of local government contracting. An applied research project submitted to the Department of Political Science, Texas State University San Marcos, in partial fulfillment for the requirements for the degree of Masters of Public Administration, Spring 2009. Texas State University. Archived from the original on the 21st of June, 2010. Retrieved the 31st of October, 2018. Dovalina, Jessica, 2006. Assessing the ethical issues found in the contracting out process. An applied research project submitted to the Department of Political Science, Texas State University San Marcos, in partial fulfillment for the requirements for the degree of Masters of Public Administration, Spring 2006. Texas State University. Archived from the original on the 25th of June, 2010. Retrieved the 31st of October, 2018. Sagerfeld, Frederick, 2006. Water for Sale, How Business and the Market Can Resolve the World's Water Crisis, PDF. Stockholm Network. Archived from the original, PDF, on the 16th of July, 2011. Retrieved the 31st of October, 2018. Black, Bernard, et al. 2000. Russian Privatization and Corporate Governance, What Went Wrong? Stanford Law Review. 52, 1731 1808 10.2307/1229501. HDL 2027.42/41203. JSTA 1229501. Fehali, Khalil, 2013. La privatisation or Liban, allocation des ressources et efficacité de la gestion. Paris, El Harmattan. ISBN 978-2-343-00839-4. Hopp, Eva I. Schmitz, Patrick W. 2010. Public versus Private Ownership, Quantity Contracts, and the Allocation of Investment Tasks. Journal of Public Economics. 94, 3425828. Do. 10.1016/j.pubco.2009.11.009. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Kemp, Roger L. 2007. Privatization, the provision of public services by the private sector. Jefferson City, NC and London, McFarland and Company, Inc., Publishers. ISBN 978-0-7864-3250-9. Unindexed. Beato, David T. Peter Gordon, Alexander Tabarrok, Paul Johnson, 2002. The Voluntary City. Choice, Community, and Civil Society. Ann Arbor, University of Michigan Press / The Independent Institute. ISBN 978-0-472-08837-9. Editors and forward. Bell, Germa, 2006. The Coining of Privatization and Germany's National Socialist Party. PDF. Journal of Economic Perspectives. 20, 3187194 do 10.1257/jep.20.3.187. Clark, Thomas, ed. 1994, International Privatization, Strategies and Practices, Berlin and New York, Walter de Gruyter, ISBN 3-11-013569-8. Clark, Thomas and Peitles, Christus, eds. 1995, The Political Economy of Privatization. London and New York, Routledge, ISBN 0-415-12705-X. De Souza, Juliet, Megginson, William L. August 1999. The Financial and Operating Performance of Privatized Firms During the 1990s, PDF. Journal of Finance. 1999. Archived from the original, PDF, on the 2nd of October 2005. Retrieved the 31st of October 2018. Von Hayek, Friedrich, 1960, The Constitution of Liberty, ISBN missing. Kozar, Kevin R. 2006, Privatization and the Federal Government, An Introduction, Report. From the Congressional Research Service. Meyer, Florian, 2006, Verneddergang des Unternehmerischtätigungsstierts. Privatisierungspolitik in Großbritannien, Frankreich, Italien und Deutschland, vs Verlag. Wiesbaden, ISBN 3-531-14918-0. Megginson and Netter, From State to Market, A Survey of Empirical Studies on Privatization. Journal of Economic Literature 39, 2, June, 2001, 321389. Onzis, Richard, 2004. Benchmarking Privatization, The Building of Privatization Index Using Fuzzy Logic. Valladolid, International Conference on Modeling and Simulation. ISBN 978-84-688. 7867-6. Onzis, Richard, 2004. The Privatization Leader's Guide. ePrivatization.com publication. ISBN 978-84-607-9613-8. Nico Perrone, 2002, Economia Pubblica Rimossa, Milan, Gaiufra ISBN 88-14-100888-8. Poole, Robert W. 2008. Privatization. In Hamowy, Ronald, ed. The Encyclopedia of Libertarianism. Thousand Oaks, CA, Sage, Cato Institute. pp. 143144. Do. 10.4035/9781412965811.N244. ISBN 978-1412965804. OCLC 7508311024. Smith, Adam, 1776, The Wealth of Nations. Sprague, Jeb 2007. Haiti, Workers Protest Privatization Layoffs. Interpress Service. Stiglitz, Joseph, Globalization and Its Discontents. Von Weizsäcker, Ernst, Aran Young, and Matthias Finger, Editors Limits to Privatization. Erskine, London 2005. ISBN 1-84407-177-4. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Wallin, Sheldon, 2008. Democracy Incorporated, Managed Democracy and the Spectre of Inverted Totalitarianism. Princeton University Press. ISBN 978-0-691-13566-3. Trad. ESP. Democracia S.O. Buenos Aires/Madrid, Katz Editors S.O. 2008, ISBN 978-84-96859-46-3. Zullo, Roland. 2009. Does fiscal stress induce privatization? Correlates of private and intermunicipal contracting, 1992-2002. Governance 22.3, July 459481. External links, edit. Privatization's rise from the Dean Peter Croft Foreign Affairs Digital Archives. Reports of the Public Services International Research Unit at the University of Greenwich. Research database with many articles on the effects of privatization. Parker, David, 1991. Privatization 10 Years On, A Critical Analysis of Its Rationale and Results. Cranfield Series. Cranfield University, School of Management. HDL, 1826/606. Categories: Privatization, Economics of Regulation, Market Structure, Monopoly, Economics. Public Economics, Management, Cybernetics. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF.